Shelley Winter Show, live, local, topical, relevant, informative, unique, and fearless. Oh, by the way, because there might have been some, confusion as to what I said about people that may be at this St. Regis. When I say professionals, I mean doctors, lawyers, tech individuals, nurses. That's what I mean, like professional people, professionals. That's, I just want to make that clear because I think some people took it the wrong way. 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. Thanks, John, from McDonough, for making sure I cleared that up. I appreciate that. So Jim Farley, the Ford CEO, this is what he says. He was on a episode of Office Hours Business Edition podcast. And he said Ford has been unable to fill some 5,000 openings for mechanics, despite them offering a salary of $120,000 per year. His quote, "We're in trouble in our country. We're not talking about this enough. We have over 1 million openings in critical jobs, emergency services, trucking, factory workers, plumbers, electricians, and tradesmen. It's a very serious thing." And he said, "We do not have trade schools." He fumed. That's what it says. "We're not investing in educating a next generation of people like my grandfather, who had nothing, who built a middle-class life and a future for his family." This ties into what the president said the other day. Where are you going to get the people? And they said it takes 5 years. It takes about 5 years to learn the skills needed to pull a diesel engine out of a Ford Super Duty truck. And the country isn't training enough people to do it. This is the Ford CEO, Jim Farley, saying we just don't have the people to do these jobs. It's a real thing. And if you don't have the people to do these jobs, and the jobs have to get done, then what happens? You have to bring them in from another country if they have the skill set. You can't argue with the president's statement, and you can't argue with the CEO of Ford, who's telling you he has 5,000 openings for mechanics that pay $120,000 a year. Can't jump up and scream and get rid of everybody. Don't have no more H-1B visas. Get rid of everybody. Oh my God, everybody's got to go. And then you have nobody to do the work, and then the entire thing collapses in on itself. This is the Ford CEO telling you this. This is not Shelley. It's not the president. This is not some dude, some podcaster. He knows. 5,000 jobs at $120,000 a year for a mechanic at Ford, and he can't fill the positions because they don't have the manpower. It's not that nobody wants to work for $120,000 a year. They don't have the people with the skill sets because we failed them in our educational system. We got a whole bunch of people either want to be activists or podcasters or influencers. So we have. We don't have a bunch of kids coming out that want to work with their hands. And the ones that do, there's too few of them. This is a problem. We're dying from inside. Literally, we're killing ourselves. And the people that would do these jobs, we want to get rid of them because they don't look like us. Read between the lines of what I just said. That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Now, you heard that story. Let's talk about the tech sell-off today. I remember years ago I came out of school and I got my first job, 1987. Fall of 1987, got my first job at Young and Rubicam, an ad agency, one of the largest ad agencies in the world, global, multinational ad agency. They had offices everywhere. I was so happy. I went to interview and got a call a couple days later, and I got the job. And I went to training. They had like 2 days of training, simple stuff. Signing up for health care, getting your ID badge, that kind of stuff. Well, it might not even have been 2 days. Might have been just one day. filling out all your paperwork, learning the building. They took you on a tour of all the different departments. And you had your nice crisp shirt on and tie, and you're all excited because you're out of college and you're getting your first job, and everything you've dreamed of is about to begin. And I'll never forget that October-ish, around that October-ish, I'll never forget. We had a kid that worked with us who had just graduated, and he was in the market. He had gotten this job, but he really was a Wall Street guy, but he had gotten this job. And, he was always in the market. And in like that Friday, the market started going down, and he was panicking. I'll never forget that Friday afternoon at lunch. He was looking, there were no cell phones back then, but his phone was ringing off the hook, and he was on his phone. We're all thinking he's working, but he was on his phone with his broker. And he's, hanging up, he's sweating, he's all pacing and everything. That was on Friday. That Monday, the whole thing came crashing down. Same thing happened in 2007. It all started on a Friday. Everybody went home, and on Monday, it all came crashing down. Today, on Friday, there was a huge tech sell-off because J.P. Morgan Bank put out there saying basically AI can't make the money. All this money is being invested in AI and data centers and all these things, and there's no way you can make it back. There's a huge tech sell-off today. What's going to happen on Monday? I'm no expert, but I know this. I've been here before. 44872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. 65 years ago, ladies and gentlemen, Ruby Bridges. At 6 years old, 65 years ago today, November 14th, 1960, Ruby Bridges, at 6 years old, was the first African-American to integrate an all-white elementary school in New Orleans in the South. She's the first person, 1960. I bring this up only because it happened on this day 65 years ago. But I bring it up also to tell you also, she had to be escorted to school as a 6-year-old by U.S. Marshals. Think about that. One lone little girl had to be escorted to school by U.S. Marshals because the people didn't want their little kids to be in school with this little black girl. Imagine that. 44872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. It wasn't that long ago. Let's go to Chuck. Oh, by the way, don't forget, tomorrow, 12 noon, Inside Georgia Real Estate with Deborah Morton. That's at 1, At 12 noon, Car Guy Show with Kevin Deutsch, General Manager of Butler Lexus, South Atlanta. Those shows will be live tomorrow, 12 and 1 p.m. So tune in. Let me tell you, Magic Mike, I've got to tell you, this is very interesting. You'll be interested to hear this. I get as many, so when I'm out and about, right, and people will see me, because we're on radio, they kind of don't. Some people know what I look like because I post the videos and stuff like that. But for the most part, most people just hear my voice, right? And like all of us here on radio. And so when I'm out and about, I'll say something, and somebody say, "Hey, you're Shelley Winter. I recognize your voice," right? But since we've been doing the Car Guy Show, and Inside Georgia Real Estate with Deborah Morton on Saturdays, I get as many people saying Car Guy stuff. Hey, I heard you on Car Guys. Hey, I heard you on the Car Guys. It's kind of interesting, you know what I mean? And it's kind of cool, too, because a lot of people will tell me they found me and they know I'm on in the evenings because they heard me for the first time on the Car Guys or Inside Georgia Real Estate. So it's very interesting. It's just a very interesting thing to tell you guys. Last night, shout out to Jane Fonda. I saw Jane Fonda last night. She started an organization called GCAPP. It's basically, she started 30 years ago. This dinner was the 30th anniversary of the founding of GCAPP. And it's for adolescents, the Georgia campaign for adolescents, power, and pregnancy and power, or something like that. I may have the P's wrong, but basically it's to stop teen pregnancy. That's how I started, but then it's grown, right, to, just help teenagers pregnancy, violence prevention, staying in school, everything teenagers go through. And so they've been around 30 years. So they had a dinner last night and then an after party. I saw Jermaine Dupri was DJing at the after party, right? So anyway, I'm at the dinner and I'm looking at Jane Fonda, who absolutely looks stunning. Okay, I don't know how old Jane Fonda is. I remember seeing Jane Fonda as a grown woman when I was a kid. So she's older, right? But you can't see it at all. This woman is absolutely positively a stunningly beautiful woman, right? So when I was watching her on the stage talking about her organization and everything that they do, I was very impressed, and I'm trying to get them on the air. I got some numbers. We're trying to get them on the air. Like to get Miss Fonda on the air. But I was sitting there thinking to myself, and it dawned on me, Jane Fonda, especially during the John Kerry election, Jane Fonda, they called her Hanoi Jane because of her opposition to the Vietnam War. And there's a lot of conservatives during that John Kerry election because John Kerry had testified as well. And a lot of conservatives still to this day, even when John Kerry was running, their knock on him was, oh, you opposed, you spoke out against America, all this stuff. And Jane Fonda did as well. If I ever got to interview her, I would love to ask her, do you feel vindicated? All that we've learned about the Vietnam War, the wasted bloodshed, the wasted resources, the money, everything, the lies that the government told, everything that we've learned to this point now in 2025, and we've learned it several years ago, but everything we've learned about the lies that the government told, right? And what a waste this thing was, right? Do you feel like you ever want to just stand up, throw your chest out, and say, nah, 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 I told you so? Particularly to the conservatives that are still around. Because many of them, particularly in talk radio, they're still around. They still throw their voices out there every now and then. They're dead, and they were dead wrong. And they call this woman names for many, many years. I'd love to interview her. If you guys are listening, anybody at GCAPP, please help me get Jane Fonda on the show, because I just really want to ask her that one question. Do you ever want to just tell those people who opposed you so loudly and with such hate that you just want to tell them, nah, 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 I was right and you were wrong? Shelley Winter Show, 404-8750-1-800-WSB Talk. We'll be right back.